This video is about DNS or domain names. A domain name actually is something like this: www.somecompany.com. That's a domain name. That's what human beings use when we type addresses up in the URL of a browser. But the computer needs the actual IP address. This is an IP address. This is something the computer actually needs. Well, the big question that we'll talk about is, how does this domain name get translated into an actual IP address that can be used by the computer? And I have another video for that. When you look at a domain name, I want you to know that the domain name ends with a .com. That's for commercial, for business. .edu, it's for education, university level. .gov, .net, anything that ends with a .net is an internet service provider. .mil for military. .org for nonprofit. Sometimes if we have a domain name that ends with a country code like .au Australia or .fr France, this becomes the top level domain, the country. Anything made in the US won't have a country code after these domains here. Now, if we look at this spacelink.msfc.nasa.gov, gov is a domain name, and it says that NASA is a government entity. And MSFC, Marshall Space Flight Center, would be a network within NASA, which is a government entity. And Spacelink is a specific computer within the Marshall Space Flight Center network within NASA, which is a government entity. Now, each domain name has to be linked with the actual IP address. And that's where what we call DNS comes in. Okay, every single domain name has to be categorized with its appropriate IP address and held in a DNS, a domain name server. This information has to be linked together, the actual domain name and its IP address, and it's held in what we call a DNS, a domain name server. Again, that's just really a database that links domain names to IP addresses. Now, the next video is going to walk you through in terms of how a domain name is resolved into an actual IP address.